you.
All right. Rev, yes.
Yeah, when we look at maybe the topic of making a decision, a girl has to be 2 or 3 steps ahead to cut out the bias. There is that issue of you have to work harder because of tradition. That does not mean you have a lesser brain or anything, but there are things you have to accept to move on. If you don't accept, there is such a topic as failing forward. Now, failing forward means you give room to failure, but you wake up and learn from it.
Okay.
So there is the failing backward where you give up, and that is the essence of counseling, why we need mentoring, why we need to coach and stuff like that. But decision making ideally comes from a lot of knowledge management. And when you lack knowledge, you can't make decisions. If we see some of the ceilings that women have broken, like in the Bible, there are 14 judges. When you talk in terms of there was that particular period when there was no rule, there was anarchy. But out of the 14 judges, one was a woman called Deborah. The other 13, of course, are men. Yeah, but Deborah was so effective that even the king could not go to war without her. And you know, the Middle East culture is you are all hijabbed and everything else, but still, if she said no, they were not going to go to war. And so they won that war because of the brain that she had. And yet she had a husband. So there are things you have to get out of and make the decision on your own, even when you feel it's up against others. And for me, I come from that culture where we don't have to fight the men. There is a word like diversity. Yeah, we are cultured differently, we are made differently. And so we can't keep on talking about over-empowering the girl until she becomes a boy. You know what I mean? Yeah, but nyumba nani anawea trousers? You know those kind of things. And then when we go back now to the aspect of decisions, you see there can be very calculated decisions, like what was done to the Kikuyu community. The women were ruling, and the men decided these women, make them pregnant.
Okay. And
so they are all pregnant and yeah, they are on trimesters and they want apples and they want this, and the men ruled. So there is also the diversity that God has given women. And when we look at the Bible, really people talk a lot about the bias that Jesus just chose men. But he was bankrolled by women.
Okay.
It is the women that financed his ministry. And that is the aspect that most men also will not talk about, where they are great things.
Right, okay.
Okay.
Rev, I want us to hold it at that point of decision making.